Okay, what's going on? Here we got today for offering is the Bad Cat Cub 40R USA Player Series. This is not the hand wired, but well, it's not the point to point. They're all hand wired, except this one has a PCB board, high end PCB board. But a lot of amp manufacturers are going to that route than the point to point. So we could all debate that. I don't really want to get into it. But anyway, so here's the Bad Cat amp. I'm playing through a Marshall 412. I think this is the 1960s B cab, I believe. This has the vintage 30s in it. Anyway, so this is a 40 watt amp. This is the old one, old school ones, not the ones they're making right now. You can tell because that Bad Cat's eyes are bad catted up. They're all lit up. Come on. You know it's kind of cool. I don't give a shit who you are. Anyway, to start off on the front, let's get an idea here. So you have an option here, which is kind of cool. You have the EF86 or the 12AX7. That's all foot switchable here on your foot switch. What's cool about this is back in the day, the Vox AC30, AC15, the original Voxes, now I could be wrong on this, but I think I'm right, had, since they were built for guitar players, they're the only amps that were really built for the guitar in mind. Old Fender amps are RCA, but without getting into that too much. But those old Voxes had these tubes that they used originally. But the problem was they would blow pretty easy. They weren't very stable, and a lot of it had to do with the inverters and the transformers working together, plus the power supplies back in the 50s weren't that great either, right? Grounds and all that other stuff. So these things would blow very often, but the tone when they were working was killer. So this amp gives you that option to use that old school Vox tone or to go to a more modern Vox tone with the 12AX7. Either way. You also have a fat switch here, which is kind of cool, that you can engage, I believe, on-off foot switch. So the foot switch controls your fat switch and whatever decide what preamp you want to use. You have a tone cut, a bass and treble, and this tone, which I would say would be either a clean boost or a fat switch, if you will. You got your reverb up front. Reverb here is very sensitive and very strong. Probably one thing I'm not a big fan of this amp is the reverb. And then you have your K Master, which is interesting. The way they had always sold the K Master was that the idea of a master, the problem with a true master, right, amp, was that the master, all it was doing was driving your preamp tubes, right? So that's where you would be getting most of your distortion from the preamps. And, that gives you a different type of distortion. And the old theory was that in order to get the power tubes is the distortion we're all looking for. And in order to drive those, you have to drive the entire amp, right? And what I guess the people at Bad Cat had come to the understanding of that it really wasn't the power tubes that you were distorting. It was the phase inverter, if I'm correct. Now, I'm sure somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. So what the idea of this K Master was to push more juice to the phase inverter, because that's the sound we perceive to be power tube distortion. And that was the premise of this K Master. So anyway, I'm going to be playing through my Les Paul 1960 Classic, and I'll give you some flavor of what this amp can do. Pop this bad boy on. Now the Bad Cat lights up. Very quiet amp. Full blast on my knobs. Nothing there, right? All right, so now you have your volume here, so we can go full volume. But that K Master's on. Now, if I turn that K Master off, master not engaged at all. That's just pure volume off the amp. We can go to that fat switch. Now if we switch that preamp to the EF, and fat switch off. EF86 kind of distorts a little earlier, right? Breaks up a lot earlier than the 12AX7, right? So now we'll put on some, give you the idea of reverb. I mean, this is full reverb. It's crazy. I don't even know if that's reverb afterwards. Off. Like I said, I'm not a big fan. Now this cut. Right, you get that night. Now you're putting the bass. And that fat switch. Tone cut up. Now let's engage this master. I'm going to turn that volume all the way up, and now I got that master. Volume of the guitar all the way up. that's where this K kind of comes in and can really drill. So here, my dB right now is measuring about 80. So this is kind of bedroom quality. To a 412, and I'm basically at 80 decibels. When I come down a little lower, bring the volume on the guitar up. Pretty cool amp, man. I mean, you want to clean it up. That kind of gives you that classic rock kind of tone. Badass amp, man. Like I said, you could play a gig with it or play at home with it, and that's pretty versatile for me. You know, you got your effects loop on the back too, and you have a 8, 16, and a 4 ohm switch, so you can play different types of cabinets through this thing. It's a pretty cool amp, man. I hope you dug the demo. And I have a feeling I'm going to regret selling this thing like I regret selling a lot of shit, but there you go. Anyway, cool amp. It's on Reverb, and it's being sold on Facebook. So if you dig it, hit me up, and we'll put a deal together. All right. Be well.